In case you're wondering what going off the derech means, it means abandoning religious Jewish practice, literally straying off the path. It can be a very traumatic experience for people, especially because Orthodox Jewish lifestyle is very disciplined and there's so many rules, not to mention if you were raised in a community like the one I grew up in, it's everything you know the whole time that you're in it. So when you leave, it can almost feel like you're a fish out of the water. You're suddenly on a totally different planet, trying to communicate with people that are completely different than you. You'll often see people who are leaving getting themselves in major trouble, living in complete chaos and trying to find some stability in their new path in life. And oftentimes they'll even go back because it was all just too much. Going out in that world as someone who's off the derech is tough. I grew up in a very religious Jewish community. I went to an ultra-orthodox all-girls Jewish day school in Los Angeles. And I attended an ultra-orthodox all-girls high school called Beis Yaakov. And after high school, I spent a year in an ultra-orthodox all-girls teaching seminary in Jerusalem, Israel. I had my issues with religion for a very long time. It's hard for me to say exactly when the seeds were planted that caused me to eventually go off the derech. I was always a dreamy kid. I was free-spirited. It's really hard to have a personality like that in a world that has so many rules that don't necessarily have a reason. The main objective seems to be keeping people in line and living almost identical lives without asking too many deep questions, like you're in North Korea or something. And I don't know, maybe it's different now. Maybe the community has evolved a little bit since I was in it, but that's how it was for me. I tried to be enthusiastic about everything, but I never really felt like I fit in. I felt like everybody was constantly lying to each other all the time and trying to hide how they really felt, what they really believed deep down. By the time I was old enough that matchmakers were setting me up with all these different guys and I found that I didn't feel like settling down with any of them, I realized that I had to make a decision about the kind of life that I really wanted to live. I'm the Shabbos guy and he's the Jew. Kidding. 4 years ago, I moved to Washington, D.C. to pursue a career in media, but also secretly with the intention of going off the derech without there being a lot of religious people around to watch it happen and convince me otherwise. It was really hard, to be honest. I went through some dark places emotionally, and I think the hardest part was that I felt so lonely through the whole process because there was nobody who understood me and how I felt. I couldn't go to my friends and family because they were all religious and I thought they would try to change my mind, and I couldn't talk about it with secular people because they didn't really understand my background. And I do genuinely feel bad for my friends and family members during this time. They didn't know what I was up to, and a lot of the people I grew up with took it personally that I left and was talking shit about religion, almost as if it was their fault that I left. And of course it wasn't their fault. But it did create a bit of tension, I think, because I was kind of avoiding everybody. Where are we, babe?
I think we're in redneck land. We're near West Virginia, I think.
Wow. I'm pretty lucky. Ever since I went off the derech, my relationship with my family members has oddly improved. I feel like I'm much closer to them now. And I no longer feel like I'm rebelling. So I'm hoping that I can help other people who try to do a similar thing and, people who feel like their life is now doomed because they went off the derech. I know that you're taught from a young age that people who go off the derech are doomed forever. It's part of being religious, but it's not true. So I prepared a few tips for you guys who are thinking about it or who are doing it. And obviously, if you don't want to do it, you should definitely not do it. Number one, the most important thing I'll tell you to do is be confident and wholehearted in whatever you choose, regardless of whether or not you decide that you want to stay religious. You don't have to stop talking with your religious friends the minute you decide to be not religious or whatever. even though it can be tempting. The truth is that most people agree with you on some level. We're all human beings. We're all very intuitive creatures. When you project doubt about what you're doing, others will start doubting too. So just be confident. If you decide that you want to be more religious, be confident about that when you're explaining it to other people and to yourself. If you decide that you don't want to be religious, be confident about that too. Be extra compassionate and forgiving with yourself. You were raised to be hard on yourself, so you've got to be consciously okay with everything you decide to do. Or else that religious guilt is just gonna eat you up and send you spiraling into depression, which happens to so many people. There's like 7 strikes. It's like beef that's not kosher, and then bacon on top.
Ooh.
And then there's cheese on top of that. And then this is like cheese sauce on top of the beef.
Clearly not prepared by an Orthodox Jew, right?
Nope. Second, look for structure in your life, perhaps resembling the kind of structure and discipline you felt when you were religious. You had a community, a morning and evening routine, everything had a process. There's no reason you can't recreate that for yourself, minus the religious stuff. For example, when I was religious, I didn't work or use my phone for a whole day, at least once a week. And I can still choose to do that for my own stability now, even if it doesn't serve a religious purpose. People often think that because they're off the derech, those rituals they did growing up are no longer relevant. But the truth is that doing those daily rituals like praying or washing your hands or whatever might be a huge part of your sense of security. And now that those things are gone and there's no replacement, that's why you're feeling so frantic and lost. Third, take good care of yourself. You're experiencing something scary and new. This is gonna test your health and your self-esteem. So do things that make you feel like a boss. Work out, get creative with your wardrobe, focus on being a badass in your career, pick up some new skills, treat yourself to a spa date. It's hard to feel good about your life choices when you look in the mirror and you see a big fat mess staring back. Become the best version of yourself that you can be physically, emotionally, and mentally. Trust me, it makes a huge difference. Babe.
Yes?
Are frum people allowed to do this?
No. I'm touching you. Whoops! Also, it's Shabbat and you have your phone on, which is probably worse.
Oh yeah, it's Shabbat. And
It's dark outside on a
I'm
Friday.
doing this. We're not married.
Yes.
And it's Shabbat and I have my phone out.
Premarital kissing.
And fourth, stay away from addictive things like drugs and alcohol and hookups as a pick-me-up. I know that you're looking for something that makes you feel just as spiritual as you did when you were religious, but trust me, these things will take you up and make you crash twice as hard like you're on a roller coaster. And if you do choose to do them, like, do it responsibly and definitely do not do them when you're feeling desperate. Desperate hookups and desperate alcohol is the worst. You're better off staying religious in that case. Finally, be very selective about the people that you surround yourself with, at least in the beginning stages of this life change. You're in the process of denouncing a religious authority presence in your life, so don't let somebody else fill that space. That would be really silly. Set very clear boundaries with your friends and family. That's going to be the key to maintaining a healthy relationship with them, and you need that. And look out for the friends that bring out the best in you. So I realize it's a really long video. It's actually only a summary of the things I could say on this subject because there's so much that I could say. But I think that these points are some of the key points that could help other people who are in a similar position that I was in just a couple of years ago and are looking to make things work. I hope you enjoyed hearing my story, and I look forward to seeing you guys next week. As always, don't forget to like this video if you like it. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. That way you'll know when a video like this goes live and you won't miss it. And also check out the links in the description of this video, and also check out the disclaimer that I included in this video. There's my Instagram, Twitter, my personal pages, and a lot more. So see you all next week. We are currently in Nashville with the coolest person ever, and you've all definitely seen her, but not in person. Her name is Rosemary. Rosemary and I are going to be business partners in the future. I'm not going to tell you exactly what we're going to do, but it's secret. And I'm really excited because we've worked together before, but we've never been business partners. That's going to be really cool. Rosemary, can you tell everybody like some clues about what our business is going to be like?
It's going to change culture forever.
It's going to change the world. That was a short stop that we made in Nashville, and we got to meet up with Rosemary, and a lot of you have seen Rosemary on our live streams and in our videos and in the comments, and you've even seen me make a lot of shout outs to Rosemary because she's really cool, and I've known her for so many years, and I got to hang out with her in Nashville because I always say that I'm coming here to check it out. And to be honest, I didn't really like hang out in Nashville so long. It was really just a little bit, and in that time I got to visit out with Nashville with Rosemary. What am I saying? I'm like so tired from traveling.